thank you for your continued support of Show Up to Win. This next episode is going to be just one of the most incredible episodes. I can't even believe that I'm able to have this person as a guest. I've been watching her for like 8 to 10 months. It's definitely somebody who I would say is on my bucket list of people who I'd love to have on the show. If you're familiar with her work, then you're familiar with, hi, I'm Alleah, and I coach Law of Attraction. And so I'm so excited to be able to introduce my new friend, Alleah Freidrichs. And so she is a entrepreneur. She's a Law of Attraction coach, and she's an amazing, amazing human being. And she's a TEDx speaker. Yeah. So Alleah, tell me about, the debt issue. Originally I only knew about it being 220K, and you were telling me before the show, it's a lot more than that. It's closer to 500,000. So can you tell me about the resilience story for that, of just coming back from debt?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a time where, I had started this business. I had been on my manifestation journey, but I was a newbie, and I had for years been carrying about $220,000 of debt. It was debt I incurred for student loans and living while I was going to school. And I had that debt for like 10 years. And it's, the debt itself is one thing, but then there was this whole other layer of guilt and shame around all the debt. And it was like living with this huge, heaviness on myself. So then I get into manifestation. I learn about all this stuff. I'm a baby at it though. I don't really know how to do anything. And next thing you know, I start a business. I start a wine importing business. And it was really good. Like the wine importing business itself was an idea that I birthed through manifestation. I had been through a lot already. I had already realized I was a negative energy. I was in a job in San Francisco. I had already caught myself saying, I don't know what business I want. I changed it to I'm curious. I had launched this wine importing business. And next thing you know, I'm like, I'm carrying the $220,000 in debt. I'm making zero money in the wine importing business. I get going. I become a wine importer. I go to Europe. I start bringing in wines. I start selling them, still not making any money. And then I feel like, oh my God, I have to get a business loan. The problem is I don't have inventory. So then I was feeling like I need to manifest a business loan. And so, but I'm still new at all this. So I go and I manifest a business loan and I get over 200. It took me a year, but I got like, I don't know, it was like $220,000 or $250,000. Spent it all on wine, consolidated debt. So next thing you know, I'm $220,000 in debt, plus another 200 something. I'm close to $500,000 in debt. I'm 5 years into running this wine importing business. I have not made one penny. I have a brain fog so thick from anxiety that I can't think. I can't be productive. So I'm sitting there with this debt. I'm sitting there with no way to make money. I'm sitting there having other people paying my bills. And the worst part about it is I sounded like a manifestation teacher back then. Because I had watched all the videos, I'd watched all the Abraham Hicks, and I understood all of this stuff. So I get to this point, I'm in my business, I'm in the wine importing business. I'm not only $500,000 in debt, but I'm miserable, okay? I'm absolutely miserable. I have self-worth, I'm feeling like, God, I can't even provide value to this world. I feel guilty because I understand manifestation. So I get to this moment where I'm like, Alleah, like, what the fuck? Like, you know this stuff. You know all about manifestation. Why are you in debt? Why are you miserable? Why do you not have any money? And I got real with myself that day, and I realized, fuck, like I'm spending all of my time learning about manifestation, and I'm doing a little bit, right? I'm trying to be positive. I am doing visualization work to start the business, but I get real with myself and I'm like, I don't actually do what all the videos say to do.
You actually don't apply it.
I don't actually apply it to the level that it needs to be applied.
Yep.
And so I said to myself, Alleah, you need to sit down. You need to sit down and do what the videos say to do. And so I remember I sat down and I was like, okay, wait, what do I do? What am I actually supposed to do? Cause like, I don't know, carrying all of the knowledge of all the Abraham Hicks videos, all the Joe Dispenza videos, all the Tony Robbins, carrying all that knowledge is very different than sitting down and knowing how to deal with yourself.
Right. Let me ask a quick question.
Sure.
So most people would have just quit. So what was there that like is in the back of your mind of like, why didn't you quit? Like, because I think when people think that resilience is easy, it's not. You usually feel like, hey, at some point I'm just going to pull the parachute. But then there's ultimately like, there is no parachute, right? And I would assume at that point you're doing all these things and you're like, I don't have this parachute. I don't have this like other plan. And so then you started applying it. And so go ahead from that part.
Yeah, I think in the background, I believed in this stuff. Like, I remember a long time ago watching the movie The Secret, and I was like, yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid, but it didn't really tell you what to do. It didn't really make it feel like believable. And then it was along the way where like it was really like stumbling upon like Abraham Hicks YouTube videos where it just resonated so deeply. And I remember having this sense of, I don't know if I can do this, but I don't have any other idea of how to go about life. So I didn't know what else to do. And so at that moment where I realized it was like, it felt like that was the only option. I didn't know how to make money. What are you going to do? You can't even quit a business if you're in $500,000 debt, because I mean, I was selling wine. There was revenue coming in and every month I would just barely break even. Right. So I couldn't even drop the business because I had to be flipping wine to pay for some of the debt. So
Right. So
go ahead.
no, you were borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Like you just kept doing this
Mm-hmm.
and you were making just a little bit. And like I even saw some of your old YouTube videos with the wine where you only had like 30 something views, right? Where the car got stuck. Like, but you look so happy. And that's what I was going to say. It's like you still look like, hey, I'm getting my ass kicked, but eventually this is going to go my way.
Yeah, the social media okay, so like let's say okay, so I was a wine importer, right? And a piece of that job was traveling around. So yes, when you're driving through Europe and you're going to these little wineries, you can absolutely be in your little la la land and you're drinking wine and you're eating this food and it's amazing, but that's not real life. That is a trip you go on, right? And so that trip you go on means nothing in the scheme of your life if you have to sit there and deal with yourself every day. Right. And so, yes, the social media, you would have never known that really behind those social media posts, being at fancy dinners and in vineyards and stuff, I was clawing my eyeballs out because I wasn't making any money and I saw no way out. And so the real resilience was about 18 months from that what the fuck moment I had. So when I had that what the fuck moment and I forced myself to sit down and I basically was like, you are going to actually start doing everything you have learned. So the resilience wasn't in the survival up to that point. The resilience was in doing the energy work I started doing every single day for months on end without anything changing. The resilience is in starting to require yourself to love every day, require yourself to feel abundant every day, even if there's no proof, requiring yourself to get into the best feeling place you possibly can before doing any work. And so there was this period of time between the what the fuck moment. I'd say it was like at least 6 months of doing blind faith energy work before before it looked like anything was actually happening.
Yeah, so you're building the plane as it's taking off. Like you you were you I'm like, hey, but you knew that like you believed in this stuff so much that you put all your eggs in that basket and was like, hey, I believe in this. Like at some point this is going to hit. And so and then when it hits, then it's like whole different story, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because you get a lot of people believing in this stuff, right? And so you can believe in it, but there's this very big bridge between knowing this stuff and believing it and actually doing it. And so probably the biggest mistake I see is people mistaking knowing this stuff for doing this stuff. Because I spent over 5 years knowing this stuff without really doing it. And I'm happy to share what really doing it looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, show an example of like what you feel like was your breakthrough part, because I think it's very important for the listeners, but also like I'm intrigued to hear the plan that you did. But I mean, I know some of it because I've been watching you, and I'm a fan of your teachings. So yeah, go ahead and share with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that moment, so the first thing that happened was I'm having this moment like, Alleah, what the fuck? You know all of this stuff. Why are you broke and miserable? Sit your ass down and do what you are not doing. So I sit down. I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And I remember pausing, being like, how do I not actually know what to do right now? But I got this like impulse of like a classic Abraham Hicks line, which is, you cannot live a new life with an old story. Again, easy to maybe understand. Oh yeah, I can't have a new life with an old story. But I was like, all right, Alleah, it's time to execute on these things. And so I was like, all right, I don't have a new story and I don't have a new life, which means there's an old story going around in my head. What is the story? And so I sat down, I took a piece of paper out, and I like basically imagined like, okay, if I was going to explain to you my situation, if I was going to get you up to speed, what would I tell you? So I started writing it down. I'm so stressed. I'm so tired. I'm in debt. I don't know how to get into that. I don't know how to grow this business. I fucking hate this business. I don't even want this. I'm not sure what to do. Right. So I captured essentially on paper the narrative that may not word for word have been going on in my head, but the energy of that story was present with me 24/7. So I captured down, I was like, basically answer the question, what is your story? So if I was like, Dwayne, get me up to speed on your life, or so-and-so, tell me about your problem, you would easily explain it to me. And so I had to capture what that default explanation was. So now I have it down on paper. Now it's like, okay, you can't tell a new story. You can't have a new life with an old story. But there's a nuance to this. You can't just you can't just rewrite your story to a bunch of shit you don't believe. You can't just say a bunch of positive affirmations, because your body and your brain will call bullshit, and you'll be left activating doubt, which is even worse, right? So what I knew from the teachings of Abraham Hicks was that you needed to shift gently into just something 5% better, 10% better, just something that you genuinely believe, so that you can shift the energy genuinely. Now, that one little shift is not going to make you the $1 million, but micro shifting like this over and over and over again, and basically committing to this process of being like, what's here and how can it be better? What's here and reaching for the next best thought is this methodical way to be shifting your energy up, up, and up, and up. So what I did was everything that I wrote, I went line by line by line by line and rewrote it gently into something that genuinely felt better to me. Something like, I don't remember the word for word, but basically it's something like, let's say it was, I don't know how to get out of debt, right? That's fact. And that has an energy of like a prison cell. But as long as I stayed there, I was going to stay in this energetic prison. So I had to change. I don't know how to get out of debt into something. It doesn't even have to be positive. It just has to feel a little bit better and be believable. So I was able to shift that into something like, I'm ready to think differently. I'm curious. I'm curious what to do. I'm ready to think differently. I'm ready to breathe. This is not working. How I am living is not working. That doesn't sound positive, but when you ask yourself, what feels better to say, I don't know how to get out of debt, or I feel deeply I'm ready for a change, you can feel which one feels better, and you can realize both of these sentiments are true. I don't know how to get out of debt is true, but I feel deeply ready for a change is also true, and this one feels better. So now you've got this scale. So now it's like how much of your attention is going to activate, I don't know how to get out of debt, versus how much of your attention are you giving to, I'm deeply ready for a change. I'm ready for this change. I'm ready for a pivot. So now all we want to do is we want to spend more time. You don't even have to be perfect. More time exercising the energetic sentiment of, I'm deeply ready for a change. And as you increase the time spent on I'm ready, you decrease the time on I'm in debt, and now you feel better. And now because you feel better, your life gets a little bit better. But after a couple days, you actually acclimate to I'm deeply ready for a change. And because of that, you're now ready to reach for the next available thought, which from there you might be able to say something like, I'm starting to feel hopeful. And now you look at the two. I'm ready for a change and I'm starting to feel hopeful. Both of them believable, but now the hopeful one feels a tiny bit better. So now you intentionally spend more time there. Now in the beginning, when you were just like, I can't get out of debt, the thought of I'm starting to feel hopeful is not accessible to you, right? So we had to find a bridge to be able to get there. But then now we're in hopeful energy. So now if you're in this new energy, now you're starting to see new things pop up. Now you're starting to see tiny little manifestations. So now you're able to rewrite up again a couple days or a couple weeks later to, I'm starting to really feel it. Now it's higher, and then you just keep going until you're able to be like in this powerful narrative that you genuinely believe because you've shifted there.
So let me ask a question. What do you think is the reason that most people will start it, be consistent for a little while, not see the results, but even if they see the results, a little bit of the results, they stop?
That's a good question.
What's your take on that? Because it drives me nuts, right? Because the way I look at things is like, I look at it as if I'm picking up something really heavy. If I'm looking at the destination, whatever I'm picking up, it's really heavy, that sucks. But if I just look at my feet and I just worry about inching closer and taking those feet. So for my program, I have a program where it's just like, I talk about left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And that's how I get there. But, so I'm just kind of curious from your standpoint, being coach, why do people just feel like they don't want the results after a while? Like they want the results, they don't want to do the work.
I don't see it as I don't see it like that. I don't see it as they don't want the work. They don't want to put the work in. And I don't actually even see it as they're not doing the work. Because energetically, as a coach, our job is to unequivocally hold people in the energy of they are doing it, even when it looks like they're not doing it. Because the reality is that we are human beings, and the reality is that we do have an ebb and flow, and that we do some things more than others. And even in my 6 months or like still today, there's some days I can get higher than other days. And then there's sometimes I travel and I kind of get out of the groove of things for a couple weeks. Even during COVID, I've been doing this stuff for almost 15 years, but even during COVID, it wasn't the COVID that got me, but I had a baby in my relationship and I kind of got out of the swing of things for like a while. So I think if we just give ourselves permission to not be perfect, I think if we give ourselves permission to recognize there's an ebb and flow, and even when I'm not doing it, I am doing it because I'm thinking about it and I'm aware of it. And it's still better than 5 years ago when I wasn't even thinking about it. So I think it's better to lean into the energy of no matter what I'm doing it, and no matter what my clients are doing it, and the timeline doesn't matter, and it's fine. The timeline it is going to be whatever it is going to be. I think for me though, if I'm looking at myself and when I have something and I'm trying to ask myself, why do I not do it or not? Like for instance, I took a breathwork course last year and I was like really excited about it. And I love the breathwork and I still love the breathwork. And I had the intention of doing this breathwork every day and kind of developing this routine. And then I wouldn't do it every day. So it was kind of the same kind of thing. So then I can ask myself, well, why didn't I do it? So one of the first components is, am I fully bought in that this is absolutely the pathway? And if I'm not totally fully bought in, then it's a nice to have rather than a must do.
Right. It's
And
the
I,
decision part. It's making a commitment and a decision. Like, hey, when I make a decision, I'm making a commitment. And so I think that's part of it too. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, no worries. And so and then a piece that's even more than that might be, if in any given moment I don't know for sure that I'm doing the right thing, or if I have any doubt that I'm doing it correctly, then it's hard to be committed so deeply to something that I don't know if I'm executing well enough. That's why I think it's really nice to have a coach like yourself or me or whoever, because to be able to go and be like, get that validation of like, this is what I'm doing. Is this a good plan? Can be really reaffirming, that to have somebody like, stay on course. You're doing it. 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 You're doing it is really good.
So I believe in two things. Well, first of all, I believe you have to begin, but I believe that you usually have to have a plan, and then you have to have a coach. And it's a hell of a lot easier if you begin and you go find a mentor or a coach off the bat, and then have them help you with the plan. And
Yes.
so I assume that's probably what you've probably have found out too, and probably the people who you have coached, if they come to you first and then they help you design them a plan, they probably are going to get better results.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everybody should have a coach at any given time if they're trying to do anything. And there's two buckets of coaches, right? I would be considered like mindset. I'm not sure what yours would be considered, but we're like, hey, for me, it's like, let's get the energy right. Let's get the mindset right. Because if you try to execute a strategy in shitty mindset, forget about it. You're not going to get the results because your energy isn't attuned to success and growth and doing everything. So for me, I'm a mindset coach. I myself do a lot of mindset work, so my mindset's pretty solid, which means I have tactical business coaches. I have a tactical coach. So I have a whole team of coaches behind me in what I'm doing online. I have all sorts of coaches. I probably spent over $60,000 in the past couple of years on these tactical business coaches. And tactical coaches to tell you like exactly what to do for a business or for like athletics, if you're a professional athlete or something, is great because they just tell you what to do, and if your energy's right, you just do it and then you get results. So I would generally say that I will never not have a coach, because as somebody who's on their brink of expansion, I always need somebody to tell me what to do, because I don't know how to. At one point, I didn't know how to make a TikTok video. I didn't know how to put a link in my bio. I didn't know how to send out emails. I didn't know how to do sales calls. I didn't know how to build a program. Everything I've done, I hired somebody to tell me what to do. So I think for everybody, you've got to, but I also see people invest in tactical programs with having lack mindset, and it's impossible for to execute. So if I was to have general advice, I would say, listen, the first thing is you got to be able to get into rock and roll, unfuckwithable energy, bulletproof energy. You've got to be able to brew up this badass swagger so you have the energy to execute on things that will actually bring in the abundance and the fun and the purpose. And so you're looking at starting your journeys at mindset and then going tactical. And then if you then grow a business, I have a lot of clients who are very successful business wise. So then they got to go back to mindset. So it can be a lifelong journey of going between mindset and tactical. But if you do this, when you are a millionaire and living a happy life, it's not going to be by accident. It's going to be because you put in a lot of work into that.
You built it by design. Like, you had a blueprint and you like were able to
Yeah.
expand. I mean, it's kind of like building Legos. You know, you have the picture and you're like, oh, I can build that. Or they have the instructions. And a lot of people will bypass their instructions and just go straight to the picture. Or you can start with the foundation from the instruction manual, and then look off of the picture. I think people, they want to try to do it their way. And then once they've realized that their way usually ends with a lesson and not failure. I'm not a fan of failure, saying the word failure. But when it's a lesson, then once they hit that resistance, they're like, well, why didn't that work? Well, there was a lesson for you to learn through that. And so I teach mostly I teach resilience, but I also teach with athletes. Like but I get them to buy in. That's the other thing is like, I just get them to buy in. Like, and I care about them where
Great.
most of them are just usually yelled at. Right.
Right.
But with mindset is such an important thing. And I'm also going to ask you, cause like, I feel like we've talked about how great of a mindset coach you are, but like what you said has a lot to do with like the big leap with Gay Hendricks, right? Stay in your genius, not your excellence. If you can afford all the other stuff, like push that to the person who's really good at it and not you. Is that
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do that all the time. So my whole life is maximizing zone of genius and minimizing anything else for sure. So yeah, I probably, I have teams of people. So if I look at just to get other people up to speed, so your zone of incompetence is stuff you suck at. Your zone of competence is stuff that you can do, but not very well. And it's usually a trade. It's like, if you're cleaning houses, you're good at that. You can do it and you can kind of, you're not like changing the world by doing it, but you can do it and you can get paid for it. Your zone of excellence is something you're really, really, really good at, but in doing it, your energy drops. And the zone of genius is stuff you're really good at and love. And when you do it, your energy raises. So I love making TikTok videos. So when I make these videos, I'm like feeling like I'm the shit afterwards, right? I'm like bebopping around my house by myself, feeling like invincible. Or when I have community calls with my clients, or even after this call, I'm going to be like feeling really good because this kind of teaching space is my zone of genius. So I maximize that. But then I have a team of people behind me. I have Amy, my head of fulfillment, who's making sure the nuts and bolts are going well and analyzing everything. I have assistants to do stuff. And the first bit of extra money I ever have goes towards other people doing stuff. So I can do as little as possible. My tactical business coach was like, Alleah, you stay 80% in your zone of genius and 20% of your time running your business. So it's something like that.
that's good. I mean, that's actually great. I mean, but I think you're aware of being aware of all this stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are just like they're aware, but they're like they don't want to make a change. So for a long time, I used to be scared of change. I was like, I don't want to change. I don't want like, and then I was like, why do I have that mindset? Like I need to change. Everything needs to change. It's good to change. It's good to evolve. And so I'm gonna move on from this part
Sure.
because I also have watched you on TEDx, and I've watched you become better and better as a speaker, and where you're able to go to these. And so it's funny how whenever I reached out to you, I had actually had some different things with TEDx happen, and I was like, my higher self telling me I'm gonna be doing a TEDx at some point. That's
Great.
the only thing that can happen, right? But so, what was your experience? Because I saw your video with Leader. Oh, was that something that you were looking out to do? Was it something that just kind of came by, or was it like
The
I want
TEDx.
to have this platform because I have something to say?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, doing a TEDx is kind of this kind of cool thing that you feel like maybe you like, how do you get a TEDx? Like, are you just so wonderful? Somebody calls you up and says, you should be on TEDx. It's not quite like that. I don't remember how it got on my radar. I think I had a few friends do TEDx's, and I saw theirs and they were, amazing. And so it was kind of on the radar. And so then it kind of was something I stumbled upon. So Leader, probably I saw a sales pitch with Leader maybe. And so Leader, for those people who you don't know, is an awesome company that helps you prepare for TEDx's. So I ended up hiring them to help me prepare to do it. It's a ton of work. And well worth the money to spend to have support, because you have to learn how to apply, you have to learn how to craft an idea, you have to learn how to write, you have to learn how to perform, and then you have to learn how to do all that authentically, because when you actually write a speech and then memorize it, it's not authentic. You actually have to learn how to actually be authentic. And that was another. I had hired a performance coach to help me be like be at least come across. I am authentic, but then you're trying so hard to do a good job that then the authenticity goes away. So then you have to learn how to perform to go back into your authenticity when you're on stage with a couple hundred people watching you. So, but what was funny though was that I had originally signed up for that. I started on my path of doing the TEDx and then got overwhelmed and did nothing for 5 months. And I was building some new things at the time, and I was feeling a little stuck with business in general. And then went back to the energy work I do, which is activating abundance and activating and rewriting my story. And after about a couple weeks of really going back into that work at a very high level, I just had this like clear optics, which was go get your TEDx and go finish that project. And so I just like, because of the energy work I had a new source of energy to go execute difficult things. And yeah, it was probably like probably a year and a half journey from start to finish. And it was wonderful. And then, yeah, in the meantime, in order to do a TEDx, you learn a lot about actually teaching and how to get past people's brain barriers and how to activate emotions. And so the whole process ends up helping you become a better teacher, a better communicator, a better influencer. So there was a lot that I got out of that.
Yeah, I mean, for the people at home who haven't watched it, like it's an amazing speech. It tells a lot of some of the stuff in your story, but it's an amazing. It was a teachable moment that people really need to listen to. What 15 minutes is what you get or something like that. It's a great 15 minutes. It's one of the top TEDx talks from people that I feel like that I look up to. It was just one of those things like um, there's a couple of really a lot of videos where it's like, oh, they're here. Like I felt like that was with you, was that it was like, hey, she arrived and now I don't know what she's gonna do next, but like it's gonna be big. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of just how I felt was when I watched your TEDx. Was I was just like, okay, there's a lot more to this. So for the people at home, like where's the best place to find you? What are you doing next? Like for some reason, I don't know if you're doing this right now, but I feel like there's a book probably going to be coming at some point. I don't know if that's. I'm just kind of listening to my intuition to say something like.
A lot of people have been asking for a book, and I would say it is vibrationally in the works.
Okay.
So all my time, so obviously I teach online, but I have a lot of clients. I have a program, and I work a lot with people rewriting, future casting, doing the energy work. So if people are curious to learn more, if you want to watch the TEDx, you just go to YouTube and you type in my name, Alleah Freidrichs TEDx. You can find my videos on Instagram, on Linktree. And then for those of you who want to connect a little bit more, there's always a link in the bio, right? I always say, link in the bio. There's a free abundance meditation, which is a great way to spend to see if my teachings resonate even further. And then there is also a calendar, a link to the calendar if somebody wants to chat.
Yeah, I'll drop the links and stuff to you.
Perfect.
You're also on TikTok too, and I think that was one of the places I found you. But I think I saw an ad. Is what I was gonna say. Is like there was just something about you just drew me. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, and so sometimes when I'm not having a good day and I was going through stuff, I was just like, and I would just see this energetic young lady that just was like, "Hi, I'm Alleah, and I do law of attraction coach." And so it just kind of picked me up for a day, and so I just appreciate the time like so much. I'm a huge fan, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do next, and I'm looking forward to getting the book, and hopefully sometime we'll meet sometime in person. So I just appreciate you
Amazing.
so much. And
Absolutely,
so,
Dwayne.
um,
You've got an amazing story yourself. I'm excited to see everything you're going to be up to.
thank you. I appreciate it. This thing has only been just little bit over a year, and so as far as like the things that you do, I just apply it. That's what I was going to say is all of this law of attraction, all this manifestation, I just apply it.
You
Like
just,
there's
I
time.
love that you summed up like that. Just apply it. And the people that I see have the quickest success are people who they just apply it. And if you don't know how to apply it, you can work with somebody But like when I have the clients come in and I just like, this is what we're doing, boom, 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 and they go boom, 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 boom. It's like 30 days, the whole fucking thing has changed. So it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I always tell people I don't want you to just show up in attendance. I want you to show up in presence and show up with intention. So I hope everyone is having a great day whenever you watch this. And I hope that the listeners understand how much we're just so grateful that they gave us the time, because I believe time is the most valuable commodity. So
Yeah,
show
absolutely.
up to win, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.